This week's question comes from a parishioner regarding our regard for earthly things. Her question is number one, how are we to regard earthly things when it seems that our faith tells us to value only heavenly things? And secondly, in a world that is so caught up, though, in earthly and material things, how do we set an example for and teach others regarding the proper regard for earthly things? And this is one of the oldest questions in the book. It goes all the way back to the time of Plato, for example. Plato believed that the perfect world was utterly separate from the world that we experience moment to moment. And the secret to happiness, the secret to fulfillment was to transcend all material things and ascend into what he called the realm of forms, or the ideal realm. In Christian faith, though, in very high contrast to that, we teach a few things that would contradict that. Number one, we remember from the account on creation that as God created the world and everything that contains, he stopped at key moments during the act of creation to say, to look at all that he had created and said, "This is very good." And so just the existence of creation itself becomes one of our primary testaments to the existence of and the goodness of God himself. And the Catechism teaches us that it is possible to discover and to come to know God through our experience of the natural world itself. If nothing else, from the sheer fact that if God didn't exist, then no created thing would exist. But to go to the other extreme, the church also teaches us not to be so caught up in created things that we lose sight of the Creator. That the only reason why created things exist is to guide us to the Creator. And so, as long as we stay in a position of keeping the perspective that we enjoy any created thing because of God, our engagement with any created thing should lead us closer to God. But if our engagement with any created thing begins to distract us from, or to cause us to forget our dependence on God for all created things, then that's the time to set it aside. So, as with so many other things, the question of, well, how do I regard this? How do I engage with this? What place does this play in my life? That's the key question. Does it increase your understanding, your awareness of, and your love ultimately for the one who created all things and brought these things into your life? And as with all things, remember, God is who he says he is, you are who he says you are, and live the life that he created you to live.